Fenster im ersten Stock! Es wird Zeit! Los jetzt! Feindliche Truppen verlassen die Deckung!
Polish soldiers repelled all German attacks. In fact, the city of Warsaw was never captured by Hitler However, the capital of Poland was under siege, and after a few weeks of active fighting in the city, food, water, ammunition, and medicines began to run out. On September the 27th, Army Warsaw General Julius Rommel signed a ceasefire agreement and Warsaw capitulated. Warsaw was given to Hitler. On September 31st, 1939, German units entered the capital of Poland. The city was occupied until January the 17th, 1945.
Halo, halo, czy nas słyszycie? To nasz ostatni komunikat. Dziś oddziały niemieckie wkroczyły do Warszawy. Braterskie pozdrowienie przesyłamy żołnierzom polskim walczącym na Helu i wszystkim walczącym gdziekolwiek się jeszcze znajdują. Jeszcze Polska nie zginęła. Niech żyje Polska!
In 1931, Japan invaded China and set up a puppet state in Manchuria, called Manchukuo. Growing Japan Empire was looking for resources they needed, and, after the Japanese occupation of Manchuria in 1931, Japan turned its military interests to the west of Manchukuo. It was the territory of Mongolia, but Mongolia was a communist state, allied with the Soviet Union. Clashes between Japanese and Soviet forces occurred frequently along the border of Manchuria. The Japanese maintained that the border between Manchukuo and Mongolia was the Khalkhin Gol, or Khalkha River. In contrast, the Mongolians and their Soviet allies maintained that the border ran 16 kilometers east of the river, just east of Namonhan village. That disputed area became a battlefield in 1939. The incident began on May 11, 1939. A Mongolian cavalry had entered the disputed area in search of grazing for their horses. On that day, Manchu cavalry attacked the Mongolians and drove them back across the river Khalkhin Gol. The local war began.
Oi, 誰かいるぞ!
Над степью пылают знамена, суровые ветры шумят. Идут эскадроны и конбатальоны, походные кухни дымят. Идут эскадроны и конбатальоны, походные кухни дымят. На желтых барханах колышатся травы, где наши друзья полегли. В жестоком бою, защищая со славой границы любимой земли. В жестоком бою, защищая со славой границы любимой земли. От праховых головы мы обнажили, сверкнув остриями штыков. Каждого друга мы тут положили по 20 заклятых врагов.
Anybody got any movement?
Negative.
No movement.
Nothing, sir. It's wild. We won't make it back. What do you think should place in the movie version?
I think I'd like Tom Cruise.
Nah, he's too tall.
Hey, screw you, man. Who do you want?
Jamie Foxx.
Dude, Jamie Foxx is black.
I don't care. He's cool.
Report any movement. Got an alley.
All right, Butler, you're with me. We're gonna push around to the front of the building. Right, will you take these two down the alley, around the back?
Yes, sir.
All right, go.
Is that the Red Platoon?
No, it's coming from the opposite part of town.
That sounds like tank fire.
It's Crusaders.
Has re-entered Solder City. Resistance is heavy, but we're making good progress. We're 7 tanks strong now. Over.
That's my first bit of good news in a while, Crusader 6.
Your ETA around Duncan, over.
With hostile activity and barricades, I anticipate 45 minutes to an hour. Fast as you can, Captain. My platoon's running low on ammo. Over.
We'll get to him, sir. Over.
Thank you, Crusader 6. Lancer 6 out.
Can't see shit, guys. Awesome, no one thought to bring some night vision gear.
Should have joined the Air Force like my dad said. Really, dude? Jamie Foxx. As in living color.
Booty Call. Any Given Sunday. It's a great movie.
Sir, we're out of time. I know. All right, guys, just 2 more blocks.
Move it! 1 o'clock.
What you see? Lone hostile with weapon slipped past the 2nd floor window.
I thought I saw something.
Can't see them now.
How many hostiles?
Unknown.
Stop! Sergeant!
Nobody move! Do not fire!
What are you talking about?
That wasn't an AK, that was an M16.
Shit. What's that mean? He thinks there are guys out there.
Friendlies! It's Miltenberger!
Friendlies, everyone hold your fire!
That's our guys. That's our guys, let's go. Coming up on the rendezvous point, we're gonna be back in the shit again soon.
Nancy 6, this is Comanche Red 1, over.
Red 1, be advised, Rescue 3 is launching. I need you to get your flares set and be ready to signal, over.
Roger that, over. And sir, our ammo's nearing black. I'm not sure how long we have now, over.
We're coming, Red 1. We're gonna get you out, over.
Yes, sir, over.
Lancer 6 out.
Prep the flares. Rescue 3 is about to launch.
Roger that.
We anticipate rendezvous with the Crusader tank platoon on target around the same time, but there's no guarantee. As we saw before, we still got to launch. The platoon's real low on ammo, so in order to minimize our exposure to enemy fire, we'll be taking the long route, Route Silver. Once we turn west on Delta here, we're bound to face heavy resistance. Our single biggest challenge after we turn onto Delta is pinpointing the alley, due to a lack of landmarks from our direction of approach. We know they're in an alley somewhere between Route Silver and a mosque down Delta. So the platoon will fire 3 flares to signal their position as we approach. Once we confirm their location, White 4 and 5 will stop to cordon a perimeter and provide cover while we extract the platoon. Is everyone clear on the mission? We're almost done, guys. Let's bring our boys home.
All right, you heard the man. Let's mount up.
Wish we could get one of those.
Heavy hostile activity.
Yeah, here too.
Harry! Sir? Harry, I've swope radio captain enemy. Warn them. They're coming into another kill zone.
Yes, sir. All Comanche and Warrior elements, this is Comanche 6. We're getting close. Red Platoon reports heavy insurgent activity on Delta. Everyone frosty.
You ready? Here we go!
Red 4, this is Comanche 6. Convoy Spearhead has turned on Delta. Fire the first flare. Over.
Lieutenant! Lieutenant! They've reached Delta.
Right now, fire it.
Come on, baby, got us home.
Keep going! Keep going!
Fire it! slowing down and all. They can't see the flares. Hurry, get down the slope. Tell them to stop.
That's 4 and 5. This is Comanche 6. Can you see the flare? Over. That's 4 and 5. Do you copy? Over. I can't raise the battery.
You with us?
Yes.
Really? Which regiment?
Lahore Division, Indian British Army.
Oh my God. What chance have we got of winning now?
ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੂਬੇਦਾਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਇਹ?
ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਲੋ
Do you realize it's Germans you're fighting? Do these men even know how to handle their rifles?
Time will tell everything. Don't worry.
Time will tell. We'll see if you're trained for that.
ਯਾਰ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਜੰਗ ਦੇ ਹਾਲਾਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਾੜੇ ਨੇ। ਬਰਤਾਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਬੰਦੇ ਮਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਨਾ ਖਾਣ ਨੂੰ ਰੋਟੀ ਨਾ ਦਵਾਈ। ਤੇ ਉਧਰ ਜਰਮਨ ਵਾਲੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ, ਹਥਿਆਰ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਵੱਡੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਨੇ। ਹਾਲਾਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਾੜੇ ਨੇ।
ਸੱਜਣ ਵੀਰੇ, ਮੈਂ ਮਰਨਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ। ਬੇਬੇ ਦੇ ਕੁਝ ਸੁਪਨੇ ਨੇ। ਆਉਣ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਸੀ ਐਤਕੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੂੰ ਮੁੜੇਂਗਾ ਨਾ ਤੇਰਾ ਵਿਆਹ ਕਰ ਦੇਣਾ। ਮੈਂ ਵਿਆਹ ਕਰਾਉਣਾ ਯਾਰ।
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦਿਲ ਤਕੜਾ ਕਰੋ। ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਗਵਾਹ ਆ ਵੀ ਲੜਾਈਆਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਹੌਸਲੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿੱਤੀਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ ਨੇ। ਹੌਸਲੇ ਨਾਲ।
ਤੇਜੇ
ਓਏ
ਥੱਲੇ ਉਤਰ।
ਉਹ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਤਾਂ ਆਵਾਂ ਜਰਮਨ ਵਾਲੇ ਦਿਖਦੇ ਕਿਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਆ।
ਤੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਥੱਲੇ ਉਤਰ।
ਨਹੀਂ ਗੋਲੀ ਚਲਾਉਂਦਾ।
ਤੇਰਾ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਖਰਾਬ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ। ਉਧਰੋਂ ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਗੋਲੀ ਆਉਣੀ ਹੈ, ਤੇਰਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੰਮ ਖਤਮ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਾ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਕਿਹਨੇ ਬਚਣਾ ਤੇ ਕਿਹਨੇ ਮਰਨਾ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਲੜਿਓ ਕਿ ਜਰਮਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਮੱਥਾ ਕਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਲੱਗਣ ਵਾਲਾ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਦਲੇਰੀ, ਇਸ ਦ੍ਰਿੜਤਾ ਨਾਲ ਲੜਿਓ ਕਿ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੀਆਂ ਨਸਲਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖ ਸਕਣ। ਜਰਮਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਹਥਿਆਰ ਵੱਡੇ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਐ, ਪਰ ਸਾਥੋਂ ਵੱਡੇ ਜਿਗਰੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ। ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਦਸਤਾਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਢਾਲਾ ਬਣਾ ਲਓ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਹਿੱਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੱਥਰ।
ਮੁੜਾਂਗੇ ਨਾ ਯਾਰ, ਆਪਾਂ ਮੁੜਾਂਗੇ ਨਾ ਪੰਜਾਬ। ਸੱਜਣ ਤੂੰ ਕੁਝ ਬੋਲਦਾ ਕਿਉਂ?
ਮੁੜੇਗਾ ਤੂੰ ਤੇਰੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ, ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਮੁੜਾਂਗੇ। ਤੇਰਾ ਵਿਆਹ ਵੀ ਹੋਊਗਾ ਤੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਭੰਗੜਾ ਵੀ ਪਾਉਣਾ।
ਯਾਰ ਰਹਿ ਗਿਆ ਨਾ
One of the most famous tank battles took place in August 1941. This fight was called Kolobanov's Heroic Deed. Hello everyone, you are watching the LCM Brick Show channel again, and I have a new history lesson for you. As I said, Kolobanov's Heroic Deed is a very famous event in world military history. But was this fight real? Was it a true event, or is it a myth, a propaganda tale? Let's try to figure it out today. But first, let's see the official version of this event. In 1941, Zinovy Kolobanov was already in the reserve and lived a peaceful civilian life. When the Germans attacked, the army remembered that he had experience in the Winter War, and they immediately made him the commander of a tank company and gave him 5 heavy KV-1 tanks. On the 19th of August, he received his first order.
Не знаю, кто этот дед, но он все правильно сказал. У тебя опыт в Финляндии, и поэтому ты теперь командир танковой роты. Поздравляю. Ситуация тяжелая. Наша оборона прорвана, и враг движется на Ленинград. Нужно его задержать. На нашем участке требуется перекрыть сразу 3 дороги, но у нас всего 5 танков, ну и немного пехоты. Колобанов, слушай внимательно. По данным разведки, сюда идет много танков, прям очень много. Я не знаю, как ты это сделаешь, но ты должен их остановить на всех 3 дорогах. За тобой никого.
Приказ есть. Что-нибудь придумаю. Разрешите выполнять.
Удачи, Зиновий, она тебе понадобится.
Так, пехота, тут отличное место для засады. 200 метров до перекрестка и как раз лес с небольшим холмиком. Так что хватайте лопаты и за работу. Нужно сделать окоп для танка и замаскировать его. Ну что, у нас 5 танков по дороге 3. Поступим следующим образом. Я останусь тут, у совхоза в Войсковице, а на 2 другие дороги вы пойдете парой. Не знаю, откуда могут пойти немцы, но есть приказ стоять насмерть. Так что окапываемся и держим оборону. Место подготовлено. Хорошая огневая точка получилась. Ждем гостей. Вижу мотоциклы. Это разведка. Не стреляем. Пропускаем, чтобы не выдать позицию. Ждем. А вот это для нас работа. Танки. Много танков. Всем приготовиться! Ориентир 2 березы! Головной танк! Бронебойный! Подкрест! Огонь! Горит сучий потрох! Бронебойный! По бокам болота они не проедут. По второму, под крест! Бронебойным! Третий, быстрее! Огонь! Они нас не заметили. Думают, что из курятника или из стогов сена по ним стреляют. Переводим огонь на хвост колонны. По последнему, бронебойным! Achtung! Feindliche Panzer! In der Nähe dieser Kisten! Hey, Russe, ich habe ein Geschütz für dich! Kommunistische Truppen da draußen! Feindlicher Panzer!
Они нас заметили! Сейчас будет жарко! Бронебойный! Вижу, один застрял в болоте! Надо помочь ему! Огонь!
Наводчик! Вижу противотанковую пушку! Срочно убери ее! Осколочную фугасным! Быстрее! Молодец! Давай снова по танкам! Башню заклинило. Не поворачивается. Механик! Давай поезжай из укрытия, будем целиться за счет поворота танка!
In that battle, Kolobanov's tank received more than 150 hits, but not a single shell could penetrate his armor. The Soviet tank itself officially destroyed 22 German tanks, several armored personnel carriers, and several enemy guns. This fight is known as Kolobanov's feat. But was this fight real, a propaganda tale, or a real heroic deed? The first question is whether it is possible for one tank to defeat 22. And here we can give a positive answer. German tanks in 1941 were quite weak. Most of the tanks were Panzer I or Panzer II and Czech tanks 38T. Almost all vehicles had thin armor and weak guns, with the exception of the Panzer IV. For example, the Panzer II gun was only 20 millimeters, and the early Panzer III gun was 37 millimeters, but the Soviet KV-1 was a heavy tank with a 76 millimeter cannon and front armor on a turret of almost 100 millimeters. In addition, the tank was dug into the ground, and only an inconspicuous, well-armored turret protruded from the ground. So, knocking out 22 tanks doesn't look like a mission impossible. But there are doubts about the number when you imagine the length of a column of 22 tanks, several APC, and vehicles with infantry and anti-tank guns. But it is more interesting to look at the German data. After all, not only Kolobanov knocked out 22 tanks, other Soviet tanks, as reported, destroyed another 21 tanks on 2 other roads. And in total, according to Soviet data, the Germans lost 43 tanks that day. This is a lot. For example, on August the 16th, the 1st Panzer Division of the Wehrmacht had only 44 tanks. It turns out that in one day, a tank division was completely destroyed. What do the Germans write about for this day? They do indicate that they encountered serious resistance in the area, but losses are indicated as only 14 tanks, a total of 14 tanks in all directions. There are doubts that it would be real to hide the losses of almost 30 more lost tanks, even if some of them could be repaired. Well, what about the documents? Many data were classified in the USSR, and relatively recently, some of the documents were released. The first thing I want to note is that Kolobanov's tank was not alone. According to the document on that day, together with Kolobanov, one infantry battalion with 2 cannons and one 120mm mortar was in position at the Voiskovice State Farm. Further, it follows from the documents that before reaching Kolobanov's position, the Germans encountered the first ambush, where they met 7 other Soviet T-26 tanks, guns, and infantry, and only then did the Germans come out to be ambushed by the KV-1. And finally, the third document that we see, it clearly states that on August the 20th, 1941, 2 enemy tanks were knocked out near the Voiskovice State Farm. To be sure, you need to find someone who reads Russian. So, after all, where did the figure of 22 wrecked tanks come from? On August 21st, a document appeared which reports that at night a group of scouts entered the battlefield, which was already occupied by the Germans, and specified the number of destroyed vehicles. And according to a reconnaissance report, they counted 22 tanks, and some were still on fire. What can be said as a result? Was the famous fight of Kolobanov real? Yes, it was a real fight, and the tanker was definitely a hero, as he entered into battle with superior enemy forces. However, one can say for sure that he was not alone. He had a good support group, and it was not a lone tank fight. So in this regard, the story that everyone knows is wrong. Kolobanov himself announced 2 destroyed tanks, but Soviet intelligence at night increased this number to 22. Could they have made a mistake and made a typo in the report on August 20th? Yes, they could. Could intelligence be mistaken? They also could. It's obvious that someone was wrong. There were either 2 or 22 tanks destroyed. There is a chance that the number of wrecked tanks corresponds to the legend, but most likely Kolobanov destroyed much less than was indicated in official propaganda. It must be understood that at the beginning of such a difficult war, the Soviet army needed heroes, and an accidental typo could then be used to inspire the army. The country needed heroes. It is also worth noting that the Soviet authorities refused to award Kolobanov with the Gold Star Award, which is the highest award in the USSR. Authorities awarded him with the Order of the Red Banner, which is a medal of a lower level. Looks like the commanders also knew that the number of tanks destroyed were less than officially declared. Still, it's a point of view based on some documents. That's all for me. I hope the story about the famous Battle of Kolobanov was interesting and useful to you, and you learnt something new. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you soon. Farewell.
On September 27, 1940, Japan entered World War II. In 1941, Allied forces began to reinforce the so-called Malayan Barrier, the 3,500-mile-long mountain range extending down the Malay Peninsula, then eastward into the Pacific to the islands of the East Indies, New Guinea, and the Solomons, to form a defensive line against Japanese expansion. This is a story about 3 bird groups that stood against Japan. Sparrow Force, as the Allied presence on Timor was known, landed on the Timor 5 days after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. This was part of a strategy of seeking to defend forward airfields, and also involved deploying Lark Force at Rabaul and Gulf Force at Ambon.
Suppressing fire! Cover me! I'm reloading!
The Anzac Lark force at Rabaul consisted of 1,500 men.
敵を倒した
5,000 Japanese soldiers made a stealthy amphibious landing upon various beaches around the island and suddenly attacked the defenders. Within one day, Rabaul was captured. The Australians lost 30 killed and 1,000 captured. The rest managed to evacuate to a neighboring island. Of the 1,000 captured soldiers, 160 were shot in cold blood. Japan Army lost 16 killed and 50 wounded. Rabaul was significant because of its proximity to the Japanese territory of the Caroline Islands, site of a major Imperial Japanese Navy base on Truk. Following the capture of the port of Rabaul, Japanese forces turned it into a major base and proceeded to land on mainland New Guinea, advancing towards Port Moresby. In an attempt to protect key strategic sites near Australia, Anzac Special Forces Seagulls, Sparrows and Larks took control of 3 points, Rabaul, Ambon, and Timor. On January 23, 1942, the Japanese suddenly attacked Rabaul and captured it within a day. The Anzac forces failed to put up any serious resistance. The Anzac commander on Ambon realized that they could be the next target for the Japanese army. On Ambon, the combined forces of Anzac and the Netherlands amounted to nearly 4,000 men. Defense Commander Lieutenant Colonel Leonard Roach sent reports several times that the defense forces were not ready to repel a full-scale invasion. In particular, Roach stated that the Anzac soldiers had no field guns and no anti-tank weapons. He managed to make several reports before the Australian Central Command drew conclusions. They removed him and appointed a new commander who did not ask too many questions. Roach was relieved of command and was replaced by Lieutenant Colonel John Scott. On January 30, 1942, 5,000 Japanese soldiers landed on Ambon.
Run! Find some bloody cover! Open fire! Suppressing fire!
Despite the lack of weapons, the combined forces of the Dutch and Australians held the line for almost 4 days. In terms of the number of people, the attackers did not greatly outnumber the defenders, 5,000 Japanese soldiers against 4,000 allies, but the Japanese had a great advantage in firepower. As a result, the defense of the island collapsed. The Japanese lost about 100 killed, while the defenders lost almost 350 soldiers. However, the Japanese were still furious that they had such serious resistance, and out of 3,000 prisoners, every 10th was executed. 300 prisoners were killed with bayonets. After the fall of Ombon, the Japanese received a convenient airfield for the bombing of Australia itself. Also next in line was Timor, which was defended by the last bird group, sparrows. In January 1942, the Allied forces on Timor became a key link in the so-called Malay Barrier. There were about 3,000 Allied soldiers from Netherlands, USA, Australia, UK and Portugal. Rabaul fell to the Japanese on 23rd of January, followed by Ombon on 3rd of February, and both Gulf Force and Lark Force were destroyed. So 3,000 soldiers on Timor wasn't enough to defend the island. An additional Australian-American force was scheduled to arrive in February. An Allied convoy, carrying reinforcements and supplies, came under intense Japanese air attack and was forced to return to Darwin without landing. On the night of 19th February, 1,500 troops from the Imperial Japanese Army began its landing. The Japanese ships were mistaken for vessels carrying the foreseen reinforcements, and the Allies were caught by surprise.
Hey, what are you doing here? Your bloody post is over there. Why the hell did you leave?
Sir, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but there's a bloody crocodile.
What? Crocodile?
Yes, sir.
And you left your post because of the bloody crocodile?
Yes, sir.
Are you adopted?
No, sir.
So you're a real Australian, right?
Yes, sir.
So, take your square ass, go to your bloody post and prove that you're a real Australian.
Alrighty then.
Stop! What are you doing?
I want to grab a rifle and shoot the bugger.
No, you're definitely adopted. Kill him with a knife, so that all crocodiles know you and fear you.
Alrighty then.
Come on, Dundee. You can defeat the crocodile.
Yes, sir.
Great job, Dundee. You are a true Australian. Now, go to your post and sit there.
Yes, sir.
I actually thought he was joking about the crocodile. I thought he just didn't want to sit there at his post. We're under attack! Grab your weapons!
off. I'm out of here.
Where is the Japs?
Definitely over there.
Grenade!
Ron, let's get out of here.
Tank! They have a bloody tank! Retreat! Let's go!
Sir, HQ says the evacuation ships are ready. We can be taken to Australia. They ask to tell the coordinates from where to pick us up.
Say that there'll be no evacuation. We won't run away. The first battle was left to the Japanese, but we'll see. We stay here and go into the jungle. Let's wage a guerrilla war. Run! Run!
Sparrow Force, a commando unit, under Major Alexander Spence, declined an offer to evacuate. Special forces were trained to wage a war behind the enemy lines, and they decided to stay in the jungles of Timor and fight. They didn't have heavy weapons, but they caused a lot of damage to the Japanese forces. The island was captured within several weeks, and after that Japan planned to attack Australia, but Sparrow Force paralyzed enemy forces for almost a year. Australians The year is 1879. The British Empire was expanding. To gain access to the rich South African lands, it was necessary to conquer one state, the Zulu Kingdom. Lord Chelmsford, the commander-in-chief of British forces, settled on 3 invading columns, with the main center column, now consisting of some 7,800 men, under his direct command. The British under Chelmsford pitched camp at Azan Lawana on 20th of January, but did not follow standing orders to entrench. Once he had established the camp at Azan Lawana, Chelmsford sent out 2 battalions to scout ahead. They skirmished with elements of a Zulu force which he believed to be the vanguard of the main enemy army. Such was his confidence in British military training and firepower that he divided his force, departing the camp at dawn on January 22 to find the main Zulu force with the intention of bringing them to battle so as to achieve a decisive victory, and leaving the remaining 1,300 men to guard the camp. It never occurred to him that the Zulus he saw were diverting him from their main force. Chelmsford had underestimated the disciplined, well-led, well-motivated and confident Zulus, the failure to secure an effective defensive position, the poor intelligence on the location of the main Zulu army, Chelmsford's decision to split his force in half, and the Zulus' tactical exploitation of the terrain and the weaknesses in the British formation, all combined to prove catastrophic for the troops at Azan Lawana.
Form 2 lines, on the double.
not really space. Jump.
Ammo! I'm out of bullets!
Me too, back to camp.
Ammo! Ammo! We need bullets! Get calm and stay in line! Do we have shields?
No, we don't. British Army doesn't use shields. We use only mortar weapons.
Okay, then we're in a bloody deep trouble.
Trees! Let's go!
March slowly, attack at dawn and eat up the red soldiers. With these words, the Zulu leader sent his warriors into battle. About 20,000 fearless warriors with spears rushed at the cannons and modern rifles. Luck was on their side. But the losses were also terrible. In this battle, the Zulus lost about 3,000 killed or another 5,000 wounded. And almost all 1,300 people died in the British camp. Only a few lucky ones managed to escape. Some 1,000 Martini Henry rifles, the 2 field artillery guns, 400,000 rounds of ammunition, 3 colors, most of the 2,000 draft animals and 130 wagons, provisions such as tinned food, biscuits, beer, overcoats, tents and other supplies, were taken by the Zulu. Near the end of the battle, about 4,000 Zulu warriors of the unengaged reserve Undiimpi, after cutting off the retreat of the survivors to the Buffalo River southwest of Isandlwana, crossed the river and attacked the fortified mission station at Rorke's Drift. January 22, 1879, British troops suffered a crushing defeat at the Battle of Isandlwana. The Zulu army destroyed almost all the soldiers in the camp. Only a few managed to escape. But not all Zulus were happy with the outcome of this battle. Almost 4,000 soldiers were in reserve and did not take part in the attack. They were eager to fight the enemy and wanted their share of the glory. But the British in the camp had already been destroyed. Then, violating the king's orders, Prince Dabulamanzi, who commanded this detachment of 4,000 Zulu warriors, decided to attack the mission station of Rorke's Drift, which was located 10 kilometers from the first battlefield. The Rorke's Drift attack was an unplanned raid rather than any organized counter-invasion.
Gallopers from the column, sir. Did the runner bring orders?
He brought orders to the commander of this post.
To do what?
To hold our ground.
To hold our ground. Bromhead, let's get one thing clear. What's the date of your commission?
Now, don't tell me. I suppose you have seniority. 1872, May.
1872, February.
Oh, well. If I may...
Are you questioning my right to command?
Oh, not your right, old boy. Never mind. We can cooperate. I'll be here, won't I?
They're building barricades or something.
What's that? This is Ardendorf, Natal native contingent. From Islandwana. Bromhead, 24th foot.
You've come from there. Is it true? The entire column?
It's damned impossible. 800 men.
1,200 men. There were 400 native levies also. Ardendorf! Are you staying? Is there anywhere else to go?
Well done, Ardendorf. We'll make an Englishman of you yet.
No, thanks. I'm a Boer. The Zulus are the enemies of my blood. What are you doing here?
You don't object to our help, I hope.
It all depends on what you damned English want for it afterwards.
You mean your only plan is to stand behind a few feet of mealie bags and wait for the attack?
That's right.
If 1,200 men couldn't hold a defensive position this morning...
What chance have we with 100?
What is it, Boyle?
Flaming dust, what else?
No, by damn its horses!
The cavalry!
That's a relief column, you long-range sniper, you!
Stevenson, Denford's horse.
Thank God you're here.
I'm surprised you're still here. Do you know there are 4,000 Zulus coming this way?
We know. Can you throw out your men in a screen to the south of here? You know how the Zulus feel about cavalry.
I know how my men feel about Zulus. We've only just got through them.
Stevenson!
Bromhead. What price this? I know your whole regiment's gone.
Bromhead, if you know this man, tell him we need him.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Look at my men.
Stand fast! Stand fast, all of you! Where the hell are they going? Get them back here!
Let go of my brother. They're gonna die. They'll die on their own farms. You're the professionals. You fight here if you want to.
We need you! Don't go! Don't go! Stay! We need you, damn you! We need you!
It must be said that at some point in time the total contingent of Rourke's Drift was about 500 armed people, and this would be enough to successfully repel the Zulu attack, but the horsemen refused to participate in the defense and left the mission.
We need you!
Watching the cavalry leave, Britain's local allies abandoned the mission. Several soldiers also ran away in panic. British soldiers fired after them, killing Corporal William Anderson. Thus, out of 500 defenders, only 150 remained at the station.
A coward and an insubordinate barrackroom lawyer.
You didn't say a single word to help, Bromhead.
Oh, when you take command, old boy, you're on your own. Damn funny. Like a train.
To your front. Mark the orders. Mark a target when it comes. Look to your front.
Mark your target when it comes. Look to your front.
Company! We'll fix bayonet!
They're on both sides. They're going to hit us everywhere at once.
South Rampart at 100! Holy fire! Present! Fire! Independent fire at will!
Very nice of him.
Zulus are gone. All of them.
The Battle of France started, not in France. The primary purpose of the Germans was to tie down the strongest elements of the French First Army and keep it away from the main German attack by Army Group A through the Ardennes, as laid down in the German operational plan. The German breakout of the Ardennes was scheduled for 15th May, so in Belgium the Nazis had to play the role of bait so that the French would believe that this was where the main attack would be, on the city of Gembloux. And the French bought this trick. They threw their main forces into fortifying the city of Gembloux. But it took time for the infantry to dig in, so the French advanced the first French army to the city of Anu in order to gain a little time. The task was to delay the Germans for 2 to 3 days.
Los geht's! Los geht's! Fahrzeug ausgeschaltet. Motor kaputt, wir können uns nicht mehr bewegen.
Zurück, lass uns gehen.
Panzer, klar zum Gefecht. Abstand 25 vorwärts. Marsch!
Je ne vois rien. Je ne comprends pas quelle est la commande.
In May 1940, German troops crossed the Belgian border and began their movement towards France. The Allies planned to stop Nazis in the Gembloux area, but in order to gain some time to strengthen their positions, the 1st French Army was sent to the city of Anu to delay the Germans for several days. The tank units of both armies moved faster than other units, and as a result, on May 12, 1940, they met. So on May 12, the largest tank battle at that time took place near the city of Anu. The next day, May 13th, infantry approached both armies and the battle continued.
Absitzen! Absitzen! Bewegt euch! Los!
Los!
Unsere Infanterie ist endlich eingetroffen. Wir setzen den Angriff fort. Zeigt mir, was ihr drauf habt und nehmt diese Stadt ein.
Nous sommes ici. Enfoncez la porte et positionnez la mitrailleuse à étage.
So, Jungs, zuhören. Wir greifen weiter an. Ihr bleibt aber hier in der Stellung. Sobald die Jungs von der Nachbarkompanie kommen, weist er sie hier ins Gelände ein. Habt ihr mich verstanden?
Weiter angreifen, das ist doch Wahnsinn.
Haltet die Schnauzen und überlasst den Fern das Denken, ja? Die haben einen größeren Kopf.
Sprach das Pony.
Wir brauchen Deckungsfeuer. Na endlich, jetzt kommt der Panzer. Bewegt euch! Na los! Bleibt hinter dem Panzer!
The result of the battle can be considered both a French victory and a Wehrmacht success. The French completed their task and were able to stop the German advance. However, as planned, after the battle they retreated to the city of Gembloux and left the battlefield. And if during the fight both sides lost about 200 tanks, then after the French retreat the Germans gained access to their damaged tanks and repaired many of them. As a result, their losses amounted to only 50 tanks destroyed. In general, the battle showed the ability of French units to resist Wehrmacht divisions on equal terms. But it also revealed the weaknesses of the French army. German tactics proved superior. By using radio to coordinate maneuvers, the Germans outwitted the French, who were limited to rigid, static positioning as in the First World War. The French tanks could not communicate with such fluidity or rapidity. The French missed tactical and operational opportunities and were poorly coordinated. The German tanks also had more crew members, so the commander could concentrate on command tasks, but French commanders had to act as gunner and assistant gunner.